Today's episode is courtesy of the California School of Professional Psychology at Alliant University. Hey, this is Dr. Drew, and you are listening to This Life
with Bob Forrest
and Dr. Drew.
Here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get your iPhone 7 with the fantastic camera and gather around for another episode of This Life with Dr. Drew and Bob Forrest.
Thank you for that wonderful intro, and let me...
It is the greatest camera ever in the new iPhone.
You've got the big iPhone, too. I know.
It's the greatest camera. It's picture quality.
We are privileged to welcome Eden Sassoon to the program today. She's, of course, on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She is the daughter of the late hairstylist and legendary hairstylist and philanthropist Vidal Sassoon. And tell us about what your projects are these days.
Thank you, both of you, for having me.
Hey.
This is wonderful.
You're into all kinds of stuff. And I'd let me list it. You tell us about it.
Well, everyone's like, what do you do for work? I said, what does that mean? I live my life, and then I open businesses around it and pay it forward. So I very much lead by example. But in losing my father, I wanted to open a salon. And that's exactly what I did, Eden by Eden Sassoon, to sort of create how it was like growing up in a salon, but how I see fit today.
I feel like I drove past this.
On Sunset Plaza?
Yeah. It's Sunset...
Where Tower Records used
Sunset,
to be.
no, further east.
Further
yes.
east, but...
Yeah.
By Mel's Diner.
Exactly, across the street from Mel's Diner.
Yes,
there's a good juice bar.
Yes.
There's a good juice bar right there.
Primo's right next door, and Equinox and everything
else. I drove
else.
past it. I was thinking about it, too. And it's weird. I had a little conversation myself. I said, Sassoon, is he still around? How's that work?
Drew tends to frown on the 70s, but the 70s were great.
Well, I was born in 73, and so I remember just enough.
She didn't live through the 70s. She was born
I was there.
I was, too.
I was at what's the name of the Fiorucci and Beverly Hills.
I remember.
Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. It was a great era. Blondie was playing in the clothing store, Drew.
Now, hold on a second. Before people start complaining about Bob, hold on a second. Can you turn his mic down a little bit?
Oh,
I think that may be what people are complaining about. He's very loud.
I'm loud, too.
No, you're good.
So you know.
You're good. Okay, so move your mic away from your mouth.
Okay.
Good voice.
There you go.
Love it.
We're getting away from the point that the 70s were the greatest era ever for having fun and music.
What about the roller skating rink?
Yeah, flippers.
Yes.
Yes.
How come,
I saw Prince there.
How come
good.
people aren't taking to task the behavior of, say, people like the Led Zeppelin, who used to burn cigarettes on women and
don't tell me that.
Oh, terrible
They're still
stuff.
doing that. Bill O'Reilly's still doing that.
No, not like that. Not like that.
Wait, was this out of like a painful, evil thing, or like a sort of sexual?
No,
this
painful.
Is fun.
Like the thing was, these women of America will let us do anything to them. Watch.
Isn't that what Trump said on the videotape?
Bob, stop with the. Well, what he said was, and I would challenge women
because
to...
he's famous, that he can do anything he wants.
What?
And that's the same
That's
thing,
ridiculous.
Same thing Led Zeppelin was saying 40 years before.
Well,
I don't know if that was
neither
fame
is okay.
or like music and sex and drugs and rock and roll.
I'm just saying the music and the art and all of that, I look at that in the 70s, and Vidal Sassoon was there.
You're right.
There.
You're right.
At the center of
You're
it.
right.
You look at the psychopathology of the people.
Listen, you're right that the art, the cinema, the art, the music.
But that hair cutting became a thing.
Yes, I agree. Listen, I went to her dad's
I used to
salon.
go with my mom. It was so great.
In the late 50s, 60s, he started... and I didn't really realize until he passed that, wow, that's my dad. It's, he cuts hair.
Just your dad, yeah.
Right. And then he passed, and I thought, oh my God, this is a man that created an empire.
He was iconic.
I mean, he was an artist, and then he gave
changed
everything.
The culture.
Susan, how many times did you mention? I mean, as long as I remember, it comes up all the time.
I was a hairdresser.
No.
I was a hair cutter when I was 17, 18 years old. I went to beauty college, and I used to take my mom to Vidal Sassoon because she had sort of that typical haircut, like for a birthday.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to go
Newport.
to his training camp.
Camp. His schools, yeah.
But then I broke my leg when I was 22, and I couldn't do hair, so I went into modeling and radio and television. So,
And here
but
we are.
I was like I love Vidal Sassoon. All his techniques were
Everybody does.
amazing.
You ever met
Yeah.
somebody that doesn't like him?
Well,
Yeah, but
now
she's saying
that the younger
professionally,
generation,
she learned his technique.
He
Yeah.
represents the 70s to me, Drew.
I agree with that.
in fashion and hair and beauty and what he gave to women,
It's 1978.
Empowerment.
and freedom and just like wash and go, and it was a movement. And granted, I was obviously just young and his daughter, but we would sing the songs all the time, and run around, me and my friends, and make fun, and
Then it became like a brand, which I think it
Yes.
was one of the original brands.
Yes.
See,
It was.
there is a whole generation of people that don't know about the salons themselves or the schools. Just know there's a shampoo called Vidal
Yeah,
Sassoon
right.
shampoo.
because they see it now in the supermarkets on the bottom of the shelf in
Right.
Ralph's, and they
Yeah.
didn't realize, oh, this is a man. This is someone who created the empire. This is someone who really put forth his life into,
It was just fun. I used to go there with my mom. It was just fun.
kidding.
it's fun.
It was just larger than life.
Yeah.
There was a woman named Olive Grace who was best friends with my mom, and she was friends with Pamela Mason. And they all three used to go to the one in Brentwood. There was one in
Beverly Hills?
Beverly Hills,
Santa Monica, or Westwood?
Yeah. It's Westwood.
Yes.
I was in
And
Newport
I would
Beach.
go there.
Yeah, the Newport.
And I would go there, and it just was so fabulous. I was like 11, 12.
But there's a lot of drugs there, though, I bet.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't. Well,
That's why there
Dad
was
never.
that.
Dad
not your
didn't.
dad, not
No,
your
but I
dad.
mean, so to have that around, because obviously it's the one who's leading the environment. I'm hoping that my salon is not full of any of that, and I think I would pick up on it. So I don't.
But
I mean,
you got to
I'm
remember,
sure
from their perspective, from the
Hairdressers.
Coke was
perspective,
non-addictive then.
cocaine was not addictive in the 70s. It literally was being promoted as just a fun
Don't
alternative.
you?
No,
Don't you
it-
wish
it-
you'd
it-
been born a
it's
few
true.
years earlier?
That-
no, because
went
I
well-
watched everyone.
That went well into the 80s. That notion of, hey, this is
Did
this
it
is
really?
hard.
No.
Oh,
One-
absolutely, 100%.
Are you telling me
I
that people
knew-
thought cocaine was not addictive?
Yeah,
a decade.
non-addictive.
For a decade.
I've never done it,
Non-addictive.
by the way.
It literally,
I've watched too many people die and overdose, and
it literally wasn't until
But I've done
Well,
other
that's
things.
not the right route of administration.
Well, I've done. Is like phentermine, the diet drug, considered? It's almost like cocaine, right?
No, it's different. It's
Oh,
speed.
so
That's
I wouldn't
speed.
know.
That's
Oh, it's speed. Don't tell me that. I can't.
Well,
I was young. It was fun.
It's the speed.
I painted my whole house in one night. They came home from the club, and
what's-
they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm painting the walls."
What's speedy about that? There's no speed there.
It is-
What do you want to do? You want to go out? It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm done painting.
Oh my God, sounds wonderful, but be that as it may. But you're in recovery now.
Oh, I'm sober now. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was when I was.
And you, I was reading sort of about some of your things about 12-step and all, and you guys are very similar in your sort of feelings about the program and stuff.
We
think.
are?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I can tell you that it's hard for me to go to a lot of meetings or any
Well,
for
no,
that matter.
Well,
now
That's not
you're
true.
on-
I do go, and I
I have this theory. It's a Southern California thing. Southern California is the center of all rehabs. There's 2,800 rehabs in Southern California, something like that. And the rehab speak started to spread and pollute the waters of the 12-step world. That's what I noticed.
and the replacement. Everyone's on drugs. Everyone's
Yeah,
on meds or
doctors are
drugs.
telling people don't tell. They don't
Yeah.
need to know. But but there's something.
But that's an interesting question.
But
Don't let
that's
me
been
forget.
going on forever.
What
I
kind
found
of
out.
drugs?
Well,
Benzos. But benzos were
benzos.
going on in the 80s, and people were
I
being
know.
quieted about
so,
it.
So
quiet about it.
Valium type drugs, Suboxone, those are the two that worry us. And you could argue Seroquel, Neurontin, other things are being highly pushed.
Questioned.
Yeah.
But I really think it was just well hidden in the 80s and 90s with the benzos. Suboxone is so out in the open. It can't really. It immediately decides.
Right. Can you
tell me what that is? And
it's
and
a
everyone-
replacement drug for heroin.
It's like
Suboxone.
methadone.
Oh, so they
It's
put
a
you
new
on that
methadone.
to take you off.
Well, it was designed for that, but they leave them on.
Yeah, it's a maintenance drug.
And
But
by the way,
anyways,
I pulled the original article that started the whole thing, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the abstract at the event. We're speaking in New Jersey. This will already have happened by the time this airs, but we're speaking soon in New Jersey.
wish I was
And
there.
it literally was with Chris Christie and maybe is your other buddy
hopefully Ted Cruz will be there.
crazy.
Those are my new buddies. I wonder when I walk into a meeting if they're going, this guy's a Republican?
Well, they know better. No,
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
but they where was I?
That's true.
So the original article says this is the perfect drug because the addicts find it agreeable. They say it's the most rewarding drug they've ever taken, and there's no withdrawal. And I thought, are you kidding?
They say that about Adderall, too.
They're telling you this makes them high, and they want it. It's like, you kidding me?
But at the end of the day, it all comes back down to money, right?
Well,
I mean, the drug companies are pushing.
I don't know
and
that it's that anymore. I think it initially was 15 years ago because there was no need for Suboxone and they were trying to push it. But now when 60,000, 70,000 kids are dying of it, I'm for it in the proper context.
As am I.
Right?
Just like marijuana, now that it's legal and everyone's smoking and it's okay. Hold on a second. This is out of control.
Yeah, it's
completely out of control.
Yeah, we always do that. We have to go all one way and all the other until we find some rational.
Right, and
mean.
and alcohol. Who are you? Come on, it should not. Sorry, obviously that's a huge issue, but it's legal. Why? Obviously, financial reasons, and people are insane.
Well, no,
that's how the normal guys argued for pot.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
alcohol causes violence. We know that.
Oh, no, I'd much rather run into somebody on pot than alcohol, but
Dr. Drew just said that.
I would. In a dark alley, you want some drunk, geeked out guy, or you want the stoner? I'll take the stoner.
I was just at Coachella for 2 weekends. Trust me, I
Oh my
saw some
God,
drunk people.
That's awful. Sorry, Coachella.
But I think
awful.
there's something even worse, more pernicious going on as it pertains to
Good
the
word.
silliness
Pernicious.
around our laws, which is there's a morality, a weird moral sort of high ground that everyone sits in judgment of people that use
I think it's
substances.
coming down.
Alcohol, good. Marijuana, bad.
Oh, that.
It's
But
kinda
that. But
heroin,
I think
heroin,
the
terrible.
public-
Bad person.
Right, everybody.
You know?
It's they each to each their own.
Well,
type
even
thing.
if people
Well,
can't control their liquor, but I think the public is becoming more aware of trauma, more aware of addiction,
Maybe.
and everybody's becoming more open-minded about it.
Well,
I
of
see
course,
it as
and
a
then you
very-
stick someone like me on the Housewives of Beverly Hills, and we talk about addiction, and we're up against, Kyle and her sister, not up against, but dealing with that issue.
Yeah. Oh, you're up
And
against
then you
it.
have to talk about.
There's a compare and contrast.
Well, yes, and then my sister, and that all comes to play, and then
Your
they're
sister
like,
died of addiction.
she overdosed, and then we talk about, okay, but you're on medication. And they judge me for that. Yes, I have a doctor and I'm prescribed, and I had anxiety and depression when I lost my sister, my best friend, and my father.
The tapestry that is the process of drug addiction recovery, we need a whole loom. We need a gigantic,
Right.
tapestry.
new
We can't
attitude.
talk
Exactly.
about. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm sort of advocating at this presentation. But like a Kylie, which is the one that's got the
Kyle or
addiction?
Kim?
Kim's got the bad addiction. Kim, somebody like that, and we used to treat lots of people like that, she has to be just
Dead on nothing,
all the time.
Therapy,
period.
exercise.
Meetings
Yes,
3 times
yes,
a day.
yes,
That's it.
yes.
Because she has imminently life-threatening addiction.
I agree.
And that's what we used to deal with. So we're like, that's what you have to do because
And that would have
now-
been someone like my sister.
exactly
Completely.
someone in
and
the
my
middle.
brother who's going through it right now.
Someone in the middle. It's like, all right, well, there's alternative ways of approaching this. I get that, and then
And there's ride along. I ride along with people. I know they're struggling, but they're not ready to get sober yet.
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm
it's
just
common.
I befriend them. I love them. I text
That's
them.
where
I
I'm
call
at
them,
now.
right?
To love them instead of
Your
try
brother?
to.
With your
Side?
brother?
Or
Well,
was it
my
side?
brother, my adopted brother David, who is he's in the middle of it now, and we offered, okay, come back home, go to Cry Help. He's got nothing.
Cry
he
help.
lost it all.
Wow, you are a serious MFer.
I'm done. And he said, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to go to the ranch in Palm Springs. And I said, then then we're done.
The
We're
ranch is
done.
all right.
You know what?
The Desert Hot
It's-
Springs.
hey,
It's in Desert Hot
It's not.
Springs.
It's not. Fry help.
It's the same thing. If
No,
it's
no
the
way.
ranch in
Cry
Desert
help is
Hot
Cry help.
Springs.
It is. And he said we check in, and it's 2 weeks later. I'm like, you can keep doing meth or drinking or whatever you're doing, but we're done. We're done. We're done. I'm sorry. I just opened my mom and my brother up to you and everything that's going on. And we one last time said, here's our effort, and he didn't take it. And I think I've come to the same.
You have to in order for it to be. Boy, you're doing a lot of sighing here.
Well, this has just been going on. Well,
I will tell you the one thing I would urge you to do if you can manage it is make sure there's somebody in your court. I'm sure you have a therapist or something.
I don't necessarily. I can sit on the couch. I talk to my psychopharmacologist, and he sits there and he listens to me. And he's like,
Then get an Al-Anon sponsor. You need somebody in your court so you can detach with caring and not anger.
Can
and
I just
frustration.
say, please detach me from my brother?
Well, you can, but you're going to do it when it comes to how you tell him. Inevitably, we get frustrated and angry.
I love you, but go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. I'm sure.
Go find your life. I was down and out. I
Fine.
was hurting.
Fine.
I was broken.
Right there. But the disease makes us angry and frustrated, and they'll poke at us. They know how to do that. They do it automatically, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to have people with us. Like when we're therapeutically dealing with patients, I bring somebody like him in the room with me because I know I'll get stuck. I'll get spun into it.
So how would you deal with my brother other than just say goodbye? I'm done.
Goodbye with love. I love you. I wish you the best. I can't be a part of this. And yeah, right. But it's hard to do.
difficult.
It's hard to do.
Very
It's
difficult.
very hard
You know what? In losing my sister and then dealing, I have a very, like my father, I think, low threshold for addicts. I'm sorry, because I know what I went through, and I think I found it. I drove
there
it.
is
I pushed it.
there is another way to approach it.
How?
I have no skill with this, and I would not recommend it for anybody, but I've seen it work, and it's certain people that can pull this off. Go, you're a lying sack. Just come down.
That's
on
what
the
I do.
You're a lying sack of shit.
Thank you.
Don't have any prayer of sobriety. Here's a number to call, but you have no prayer of doing it. So good luck. And I've seen people out of resentment to that get sober.
I mean, I kind of go in that direction. I get really intense and
Well, be careful. That's
rude.
a very dangerous way to go.
For me or for them, because I'm
it can hurt them. Yeah, they
hurt
could.
them.
Well,
Yeah.
right nowadays,
But it's
You know
truth
what I'm
and
talking
honesty.
about?
Yeah.
There was a guy out in Denver in Arapahoe House that would do that. He was an intake guy, and he's a long-term sober guy, and he just knew who to do that to, and he would do it, and they would
click
go,
into it, and you know what?
they
He's
would
right.
go no, they would go
the other way.
They would go way deep and go fuck you and I'll show you this kind of thing. Right, and that's a dangerous thing. That's a dangerous.
Right,
I
yeah.
could never do that as a
Yeah.
physician. You know?
And then again, I don't do it to people who I'm not interacting with. I'm not,
Right, not
by
close to
any
it.
means.
Yeah.
well, I just try to use a rule of thumb. I say what I can live with myself saying, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
So if they kill themselves,
Yep.
or if they die of a
Right.
drug overdose, or they get sober, whatever I said, I can live with all
Yes.
three of those outcomes,
Yes.
or they stay the same.
Yeah.
Right? And at a certain point when you're so frustrated with somebody, the 12-step rules are, listen, I've tried to help them too many times and it doesn't work. Somebody else needs to do this
yeah.
now. Right? And so whether it's a family friend or a therapist, or just turn it over to somebody else if it's not
Well,
working.
his sponsor
after
just
this.
just left him. Said, "I'm done with you too."
Okay.
So,
Well, eventually you get the message. I was your brother. Like,
well, that's what I'm hoping.
everybody was done with me.
I told
Even my drug dealer was wanting me to go to rehab.
It's true. One of the big drug dealers said, "Bob, you're out of control. You need to go." And I was in his life back then, the '88 or something.
Yeah.
And I told everybody, "I go, sorry, we can't be around this guy. We cannot. He's dead. He's going to be dead any minute. I don't want to be a part of it." So I coached everybody. I said, "Say your farewell. Grief. Deal with the grief. It's over."
I survived 7 more years like that.
wow.
Yeah. 15 years later or something, I was giving a lecture, and this guy sitting in the front row, and I'm like, well, couldn't be Bob Forrest because that guy's dead.
Wow.
Here I am with
Yeah.
little kids.
That's
How
amazing.
old are your
Beautiful.
kids?
My daughter is she'll be 11. Sorry, she'll be 12, and my son's 10. He'll turning 11.
So you're in the middle of all that.
Yeah, which is beautiful. I love sobriety. To me is just everything, and it's not. I don't go to the meetings every day. I don't turn.
I got a
to always,
question for
yes.
you. When you were a kid, what was the age you were allowed to go ride your bike around the neighborhood to a friend's house a couple blocks away?
When I was a kid, I could pretty much do whatever I want because my mom is a recovering alcoholic. I had my nannies giving me the love I needed, but my dad was building an empire. No one had.
So
It
you
was-
could go.
I could do
was
whatever I
thinking about
want.
that because I'm thinking about Elvis. Like he took his scooter and went down the street yesterday.
Everybody freaked
his
out.
6-year-old. I was kind of like, is
Yeah.
this the right thing?
Well,
I
today,
don't know.
yeah.
What would other people think? I don't know where he is right now.
I'm not
you know
as
what I
worried
mean?
as-
Like it's a dirt road that only goes down to another kid's house.
I would say go have fun.
I know, but we're a
But-
hysterical society.
Oh, I'm not.
About
I'm like,
child-
learn the hard way. Go do it. Guess what? I was you. You're going to be me. Even I'm divorced. I'm single mom. Why don't bring in men to your kid's life? Look, my daughter could be me. She could get married. She could get divorced. And here I am pretending that I don't have male friends or that I'm very open and honest with my
Do you
children.
understand what I'm saying, though? The
100%.
social norms have changed.
social
Because
norms. Who made-
I realized I was 8 when this happened.
When you cut your finger off.
Yeah, I was riding through Venice on my bicycle on
Where?
Venice
Let me see.
Boulevard.
Oh, nice.
Going over to a
Nicely
friend's
done.
house at dark. It was like sunset. Crashed into a car on Venice Boulevard, right? Kids used to ride their bikes places.
If that happened to your kid today, though, you'd be investigated by Child Protective Services. That's you understand.
That's
There's
the
also
truth of it.
Well, but it's
there's also a legal standard now too. It's
Yeah.
not just a social standard. There's and to some extent, of course, that's good. But we've become hysterical as a result. I
Yeah,
think.
hysterical. Is a
Look,
good
I tell
name.
my children, and I'm not sorry for saying this, not to have kids. This world can be that torturesome and that hard for some people where they don't have the light. They don't see it and they
the
can't
problem
grasp
is
it.
the people who elect not to do so are precisely the people I wish would. You know what I mean?
Right,
they're the
right.
ones that ought to.
Right.
It's
And
the
then
wrong people are having them.
It's just painful. It's hard. And if you don't have the right tools and no one's teaching people those tools, and why aren't we more into spirituality than all these things? Everyone lives in this box. Well, who put us in this box and we can't think outside of it and do things that are different? And like sobriety or like AA, there's so many ways to heal energetically and spiritually. And I mean, with shaman,
Well, he wrote a book about narcissism, and the narcissistic culture that America has become has it's almost like an authoritarian narcissism, where this is the way it's supposed to be, and you have a divide. This is the way it's supposed to be, the liberal progressive way, or this is the way it's supposed to be, the good old days, right?
I'm following. Go ahead.
And so there's no center anymore. There's no
Right.
common sense anymore. It's either
Yeah.
all crazy or that way, or all crazy
Yeah,
this way.
that's true.
What I found interesting in the French elections,
Is that over now?
Well, now goes the second round. They took the two extreme. They're going in.
Macron and Le Pen.
Le Pen,
Le
the
and Macron.
woman whose
Yeah.
dad was the crazy
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
So it's not just America. The whole world is going either this way or that way.
True.
It's crazy because most of us are somewhere in the middle. I think that's where common sense
Individually.
is. Common sense is in the middle.
Well, I feel like the cultural archetype is shifting.
Completely.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's
Completely.
shifting into. I feel like we had this, and I've been thinking a lot about this lately, and I've not
Me
discussed
too.
this with you, but because I usually was I was like, that's all nonsense. But lately I've been trying to think, the anthropology of archetypes probably has real meaning across historical arcs. And I think we probably had a hero archetype going into the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
We came out of it. We were the vanquishing hero. And then we spawned a group, several generations that became the anti-hero, that they glorified antisocial, right? Rock stars, music, drug addict. That's became what's good. And we're sort of at the tail end of all that now. We're kind of burning ourselves out by splitting into camps, just like you're describing.
Yeah.
And we need a new unified
We need a new center.
archetype. And I think it's something
It's-
like a hero
okay.
again, because it's the
It's
opposite.
technology.
Well, no, that's bad.
I know.
It's the opposite.
I know.
It needs to be the opposite of victim, because the victim has been very much a part of the problem lately.
And so
Us feeling victimized.
This stuff is why you feel that we shouldn't bring children into the world. I'm of the opposite. I believe that free thinkers and kind of people that have a
I think that way too, though.
and it's crazy, but it's true that the movie Idiocracy, you ever seen it by Mike
No,
Judge?
but
Oh
I
yeah,
will.
it's very funny.
It's not funny. It's real true.
Let's put it this way: everybody ends up watching a TV show, and it's one TV show called "Ouch My Balls."
Kick,
It's just "Ouch My Balls," and people it's one TV
And they
show.
sit-
Everybody
watch it.
watches
And
it.
everything is sponsored by Carl's Jr.
Okay,
Well,
it's
it
fun.
was-
It's scary and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
This is horrifying.
I know.
And
So
doesn't Terry Crews become the president?
yeah, the fighter,
Yeah.
because he can. The president
There has
is the
to
guy
be
who can
Starbucks
kick
and
everybody's
McDonald's.
ass. Yeah, Starbucks is a prostitution place in the movie.
Is it really? That's genius.
Yeah,
So,
it's
okay,
got
this
a
is
certain, that's a
funny.
certain kind of genius.
But
yeah.
what caused it was that the rational, intelligent, educated people didn't have children, and the irrational,
Right.
uneducated
Right.
people procreated like crazy.
So there's no real fix.
We need
to
a balance.
This. Yes,
a balance of
Yeah,
center.
but what would the archetype be? You guys are
of who the
free-thinking.
centrist would be?
Well, what's the story we tell ourselves that gets us out of this? What would the hero story,
The cooler-
the antisocial
No,
story?
I think within. Who are you? What is
No, but it has to be an archetype. We have to follow
some-
a narrative. What's the narrative that sort of the cultural narrative that we all could buy into?
The
You
courage.
understand what I'm asking?
It's courageous.
It is courageous.
It's courageous.
I totally agree with you.
Courageous.
So what? I 100% agree.
It's courageous
So-
for me, a progressive, to say, really, I'm not that
So-
much
so
concerned
what-
with the radical left ideas
so is it
that they're trying to shove down the throat of America right now. This is not the time or place to be going radical. This is the time and place for coming together and finding
Right,
solutions.
I'm with you.
But now you're
That takes courage
Okay, so
of
courage.
Republicans and
okay.
Democrats.
So where is there an archetype, a mythological archetype that follows that path of courage? Is it Homeric courage? Is it?
I think it's
is it
Solomon.
a lion? It's
I think it's
Solomon.
I sort of agree. I keep thinking
It's
it's a
something
wizard
like
or a
Solomon.
wisdom or something. Yeah, it's something.
Somebody who's experienced
why
it
do you guys
all
go to
and
the
now-
male? I'm feeling a female goddess,
Fine.
a
I'm all
complete
for it.
goddess.
Okay.
That
All right.
she is just sort of shining this light, but full of wisdom and sitting there and just has it together and sees it all. And
Shiva.
I'm
That's Shiva,
officially.
right?
Well,
I-
first
I-
of all,
Is Shiva
I
feminine?
call it Eden. I don't know.
I'm first of all officially an asshole because I kept trying to think about this.
Males.
And I only thought of males.
Both of you. I heard it. I'm like, wait, hold on.
Officially, I'm an asshole. So,
And I'm more alpha than female, so I'm going to
but I think you're right that we got to find that.
back
Athena
to like
or whatever.
What was
the sin of
Athena?
the
Yeah.
earth, the female. We
Athena.
create, we bring people into this world. No woman is
You know
really
what?
honoring
we need
that
to,
too
we
much.
need to watch see what the myth of Athena is. Although I don't know if we could shift we probably could.
Well, why? I think that women are more powerful than men. Well, not more powerful, but are coming up and becoming that, and men are more accepting
I
of it.
100% agree with you. However, I'm worrying that it's so much about founding fathers in this country. This is a major shift to go then to Athena.
And if we start teaching our daughters,
I'm for it. I'm for it.
just
I
has
don't
to
get me wrong.
slowly get
Well, it's certainly
into-
not Elizabeth Warren. I can tell you that.
I know.
Who's Elizabeth Warren?
Warren is this lefty that's going to run for president, supposedly.
What? See, I'm not huge
And
on
it's just going
politics
to tear
because
it apart, right?
So you have always been a Republican?
No, I'm
He's
a
the opposite.
liberal. I'm the opposite. But I
I'm
now
hearing
have
that you-
in the last
and
6
you-
or 7 years,
I'm
I've gone. Here's this interesting
middle.
thing. My friend is known as a Democrat, right? But he says he was a Republican during Reagan, and the Republicans just moved so far away what he believes, and Clinton came from the left to the center, and he said, "Oh, I must be a Democrat now."
Yeah.
I feel like that happened to me.
Yeah.
As a Democrat, they just moved so far to the left that common sense and the center is now becoming the weird Kasich, right? Kasich was the one that I thought made sense.
But
right?
he was too much of an old boy, white male kind of thing.
And he's a bore, too.
But I agree with you from a standpoint of ability. That's like, Ted Cruz. Can you imagine?
What?
Just I was thinking.
Maybe I can progress him along.
He's a smart guy. I'll give it.
Oh, yeah. Harvard.
We're here with Eden Sassoon. She obviously is a delight, and she's on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You can see her there. You can go visit her salon on Sunset Boulevard.
More so, I have 2 Pilates studios. Because
Okay,
if
where are
your
they?
body's not,
Where are they?
intact
Which is what
and
I wanted
fit,
to talk
then
about.
Your mind isn't.
I wanted to talk about
Look at how healthy her hair looks.
Yeah.
This is
amazing.
Balmain extensions. Thank you.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Susan, find out her
Couture
extension
hair.
first.
Where'd you get that at?
Oh, my girl comes in every 6 weeks from the East Coast.
Well, how much is real and how much is not?
Well, so my real length is, look, right there.
The brown,
Wait,
yeah.
hold on. The brown, exactly. This is
Healthy-
a lion's head of hair, but
That's healthy looking hair.
I had to do it because it was short for so long. I'm like, you know what? I went Sassoon, and now I got to go back to
You know
Eden.
Carrie White?
Yeah, she
Oh,
was
yeah.
my sponsor.
There you go. We'll take a break and we'll be back with that.
Now, one of the most amazing parts of working in treatment is seeing a number of former patients successfully move on and choose to become mental health professionals themselves. Yes, I've seen it. And the field of psychology is vast, and the need for competent practitioners has not been greater and never been greater. If you're considering this rewarding career, I suggest you look at the California School of Professional Psychology at Alliant University. I've been familiar with Alliant for some time now. I've spoken at their events. It was founded in 1969, boasts an alumni network of nearly 50,000 people worldwide. Alliant has fostered many of today's mental health pioneers, authors, and advocates. CSPP at Alliant University hosts both on-ground and online programs in business psychology, marriage and family therapy, clinical counseling. They also offer an APA-accredited doctoral program in clinical psychology that allows for specialization in child psychology, clinical forensic psychology, and integrated psychology. Faculty is industry leaders. Former faculty includes names like Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers, Viktor Frankl. Come on now. Those are names everyone's heard, some of the fathers of modern psychology. For more information on the California School of Professional Psychology at Alliant, check the Alliant banner on my site or visit Alliant, ALLIANT.edu. That is Alliant.edu. Welcome back. And I did want to talk to Eden about sort of, there's so much now about the body and emotional life, and there's so much going on right now that you literally I'm beginning to think of the brain more as a system that identifies and expresses emotion, but actual feelings are in one of these regions of our body. Yeah.
A little lower down, too.
Yeah.
Well, three.
That is a lot there.
Pelvis, abdomen, chest. And really what we need
You're
is...
the one that opened my mind to that, because so many, I would say 35 to 45-year-old women who had suffered trauma, who came into our treatment center, had fibromyalgia and pain in the lower
Pelvic
region.
pain and stuff,
he
yeah.
said, this is a psychic thing, right? And at the time, fibromyalgia was a big diagnosis that everybody was jumping on.
And let's be fair, fibromyalgia is a syndrome. It exists, and it's largely, in my humble opinion, a sleep disorder. If you restore their sleep, their fibromyalgia gets better. And then if you connect them to their body, you tone down the insular cortex. There's a part of your brain that just goes, everything's on fire all the time. Everything's a mess. It's called the insular cortex thing. So we literally have and I'm going to talk about heal in just a second, but no, I'm going to talk about heal right now. Then I'm going to tell you about the homunculus.
Heal is
say this word, homunculus, when I finish heal.
Homunculus.
This is a group I work with. I'm on the advisory board for it. It's heal.com, HEAL.com. They have a doctor in your house within 2 hours.
For $99.
$99 all in.
No.
Or
$99.
if you have major insurances, just copay typically. And
This is great.
Carefully select every one of these people. Some of them are double board certified, peds and medicine or family practice, and they are high quality. People don't understand. When you go to an emergency room, you're paying for all that infrastructure, all those people running around, all that equipment. You don't need. And by the way, they have a standard where they have to do all these labs and things.
Yeah,
they have to because legally is an issue.
Right.
When a guy comes to your home or a woman comes to your home and pays attention to you and they're
The way
skilled,
medicine had been done in America
the
for
way it's supposed
150
to be
years.
done, guess what?
With their little black bag.
Yep.
$99. So go to heal.com or get the app. It's in most major cities.
Can we
So
just
And
check it
talk
out.
that's
about that for a
incredible.
second?
Yeah, wait, hold on. That's incredible because a lot of doctors that I've seen, went to the concierge service and you have to pay $25,000 and they'll come whenever you want. Well, that's insane for most
You
people.
don't need to do that. While on the other hand, people are willing to pay, $300, $400, $800 an emergency room or urgent care visit when it's only $99 or your copay, and that's
Well,
2 hours and no waiting and no traffic. They
We've-
come to you 2 hours.
We've got to get America to stop thinking the way they do about medicine. That's a key. I know you're into health and
Oh,
wellness.
my
It's
God,
a key
yes.
to all of this. One of the things I grew up...
Explain that.
So doctors used to be family friends, and they used to come over to your house when one of your family members
All
were
my
sick.
doctors are my...
And while they were there, they'd say, Ida, you're smoking again. God damn it, you got to stop smoking.
Yeah.
Right? To my dad.
Yeah.
They were a part of the family, and they knew each individual family member, and they came to our house.
Yeah, and you were
right?
connected, and you trusted.
And there
you
was
had-
something about when Dr. Beam, his name was, came to deal with me when I was going through whatever sickness I was going through. He would also see my mom and dad, marriage counsel them.
Now we do want you to move over a little bit here because they're going to start a Facebook
Do you know what I'm
Live.
saying?
Yeah. Oh, listen.
Marriage
I know what
counsel.
you're
So
saying.
this was common up to the 60s.
But here's why.
This is very common.
Here's the biggest problem. We need to get attorneys and bureaucracy out of medicine. The more attorneys are backed off and doctors are allowed to do their job, it becomes efficient again. Because as soon as you start having requirements and layers of legal issues,
But is a home visit less litigious, less problematic?
it has a different standard associated with it.
It's
so
just,
it
it's not
does.
right. Why can't, if a doctor's a doctor, a patient needs their help, that's it, period.
That's it, period.
A
That's
to
right.
B.
All right, so we are you on there now?
We're live.
Okay, they're going to be
Hey.
on Facebook
We're
Live.
coming on live. So, and the other
but-
thing
but-
is William Carlos Williams. Huh?
We're now live with Facebook. Are we live on two Facebooks?
Two
We're
Facebooks.
Instagram.
Eden
Instagram.
Sassoon from Real Housewives. We're
You're a
doing
social media queen.
Well, come on.
we're doing this live podcast to Eden's people that will be
They'll come
airing in
up.
a couple of weeks. And please do ask your questions of us, whatever they might be. We'll try to answer them here. But homunculus, let me tell you about this.
Homunculus.
Okay, I think you know that. I hope you know that we have these little homunculi in our.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Please tell me.
Our body landscape, the motor and sensory landscape, is represented on the cortex in our body. There's a place for our eyes, our brain, or
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, our hands, our legs. Every there are two strips. One strip is sensory, and one strip is motor. Okay.
Okay.
And we've known that forever. You can zap a part of your brain, and you'll move your hand and that kind of thing. And there are things that get fed up through the body into that region of sensory. Sensory, but there's two components of pain. For instance, discomfort. There's a somatic component, which is you cut your finger off, it hurts, you register it in the cortex, you will respond
You
to
also
it.
see it.
Well, there's another part of the brain called the insular cortex, which gives the affective meaning, the misery index of things that come out of your body. And it turns out these three big systems here, these parasympathetic, feed into it. The vagus nerve is a way more interesting thing than I was ever trained in medical school. It turns out like 70% of it is coming out of the body and goes to a region of the brain called the nucleus tractus solitarius, which has another homunculus, but it's sort of a vague homunculus about the feelings of the body. And then that goes to the insular cortex. And that's why the insular cortex fires out so crazily if people have any sort of unprocessed trauma in their body. Does that make sense?
So
So we're now starting to understand this stuff.
And that's a
So-
way to break down pain in America. Because
to shut your
it's
brain
all
off.
interwoven.
Don't you think if you had enough, I hate to use the word control, but understanding of the brain and control, and you really were, your mind was in your body, you could.
There's two aspects to that. Yes, to make it simple, but the first aspect is embedding yourself in your body and feeling what comes out of it without having your hair catching on fire, without being flipped out emotionally. But a lot of people can't tolerate that or can't connect to that. And the way we connect to it is in intimate contact with other people.
Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't technology...
Who we send feelings across to.
Thank
you
You
metabolize
just summed
it
up
and
my
send it
season
back to
on
me.
Housewives. Thank
Okay, good.
you.
Doesn't
All right.
technology...
Pay attention.
Doesn't technology disconnect us from
Yes,
human
100%. 100%. So any questions coming up on Facebook?
But some technology, when you're connected to, and the way that I share on my Instagram and Facebook, there's whether it be through a photo and the words that I say really impact people's lives, and then give them, whether I'm leading by example or whatever it is, some motivation or inspiration to go out and do something.
Correct. And I don't mean the technology is purely evil or worthless. What I'm saying is it interferes with that connectedness.
Yes.
It gets
Think about the neighborhood you grew up in, right? Wasn't there a lot of different kinds of people? Remember the names of the people and what their deal was. And like Irene Erdman lived on the corner, and if we rode our bikes, it was like a cliche. Over her lunch, she'd come running out, and she'd run over to my mom's house. There were interesting people that did talk about health and wellness and did talk about marriage as being healthy. And there was community in a neighborhood in America up until it seems like the 1980s.
The theory was that there was the family, and then your neighbors, and then your community, and then you became politically present in your city and township. That's democracy. Yeah, that was the theory.
And you lived in the same house, regardless of how much money you made.
Yeah. Oh wait, Facebook. Hold on, Facebook wants to ring in.
This doesn't.
Level of intoxication actually help your body survive during physical trauma?
He's talking about. I think that what they might be talking about, ask him, is like if you're really drunk and you get in a car accident, you're kind of relaxed.
I think more.
It is kind of true.
I think
I've
some
been
of that
in
is
a
true.
few car accidents.
I think
I've
some of that
done
is true.
some things not sober, and they were.
What is it about that?
I think addicts, alcoholics are phenomenal survivors. I think that's more than anything is the deal. I think
Until you don't.
Yeah, I think the relaxation helps, but I think really they're unbelievable survivors.
But you're at a
That's why-
different state when you're in your normal state.
True, but that's why
for
the
us.
gene persists.
Right.
Because
Well, the
there's
two
an
things
evolutionary advantage to it.
But
in
let's
certain
go over my
situations.
worst car accident. I don't think I would have gotten in it if I wasn't in
Right.
a blackout drunk. But the fact that the telephone
Why would
pole
you say
was
that?
right next to me.
Why would you say that? Why would you think that, Bob?
But the telephone pole was right next to me, and I just got out of the car. It was right all the way to the dashboard of the car.
Sure.
And people were like, what the hell? And I'm like, oh, my God, cops are coming. I got to get out of
Oh,
here.
Jesus.
Here's a good one.
All right, let's go. Hang on.
We,
Hang on.
Here's a
Facebook.
good one. Why do hangovers seem to get worse as age progresses?
right? It's got to be hormones. It's got to be so many
Dehydration.
Everything does.
Yep.
Everything
Gets
is worse
worse
when
as
you
we-
get older.
I think
You
that.
I
need
don't know. I'm
hydrolyte.
better than right now.
Yeah, hydrolyte is something I've stand behind here, and that
Lack of
really
vitamins.
Hydrolyte is this rehydration solution.
It's right there.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
Oh, can I
these
have one?
Yeah. Here,
Drew,
take
need
Drew
some water.
invented it, but
Oh.
he doesn't
Oh.
get
Did
the,
you get the water?
I'm
doesn't
going to
get
take
the
these
credit.
home.
Oh,
and
you're
it's
filming too.
your first lady of
Is
love.
there a lot of sugar in here or no?
No, very little.
No sugar.
No, there's a little bit of
I'm sure.
you can see on
just
that.
because.
But this is the same as an IV. You get the same.
I
thing.
love IV drips.
Well, you don't need it. You got this. You don't
Gonna
need
have
the
to
IV.
lie- really? Thank
I'm telling you,
Spirit.
you're just just
Really?
getting high. 'Cause-
See, she's a part of that.
But
I
what
know
about
where
all-
she.
you don't
Have you
do
done
the-
ozone?
No.
Vitamin drips?
I do vitamin
Stem
drips all
cells?
the time. Stem cells, if they could do my whole face with them, I'd do them. I do spray.
So, Drew,
What?
can you read that email from the guy in Jersey?
Yes. Okay.
Which
so-
one?
Jersey.
Yeah, I've got a Jersey email here. Let me do that one.
We got a hangover question and a car accident
Well,
question.
okay,
That
when-
was good.
We're going to New Jersey, so
So Bob and I are going to go speak on behalf of this New Jersey hospital
I want to
group.
go.
And Chris Christie is going to be there, and now I'm hearing Ted Cruz might be there.
No,
No,
this is
Chris
like,
Christie.
that, it's becoming their issue, though.
Good. Hold on.
Getting
Cravings.
hydrated.
All right. This is from George, and he says, I heard that you'll be in New Jersey speaking about opioid addiction and mental health problems. It's extremely bad. I'm a police officer for 13 years.
Wow.
I've dealt with 3 to 6 people a week with mental illness and heroin addiction in a 1 square mile town. And services here don't evaluate right. We need help. Yeah.
Okay, so that's caused by the drug epidemic. Drew, you can't tell me that's just drug. That's a percentage of drug addicts
let me
that
tell you a
have
story.
always exist.
No,
Big
correct.
Pharma created the drug epidemic in America. Will you give me that?
No, they contributed to it. The thing that did, I remember being there in 1999 when those judgments were handed down, putting physicians in prison.
But that
for
was
not
Big Pharma behind it. Who do you think was behind it? The people?
the attorneys.
Yeah, who was behind? Who was paying
Read-
their fees?
The people, they got huge money out of it. It was nothing to do with the drug companies.
Oh, God.
Go look at
See,
the cases. Go look at the cases.
What do you believe?
I think the drug companies have
Drug companies
so
are
much
the
to do with
biggest
it.
profiting industry in the world above petroleum.
And let me tell you, the evil story in all this is manufacturing Suboxone right now. Why don't you get on their case?
I'm getting on it.
Okay.
But there's so much. How do you?
So the point is, that's what turned the tide. When physicians believed they were going to prison, not malpractice, prison, if they didn't adequately treat pain. It was the weirdest experience ever. We all, when somebody would come in and say I'm in pain, we should go see a pain management. We can't take the liability. It became elder abuse. That's not something, a drug. Elder abuse. What drug have to do with that? And reckless negligence. That was the
let me
case.
attack it from another angle.
Hang on.
How are we 5% of the world's population and take almost 50% of the world's drugs?
It's insane. I know that. I understand
Who
that.
caused that? Lawyers?
Doctors did.
Okay.
Now
we're getting somewhere.
Oh, no. But what are the... You think a
She's
drug...
being awfully
but you-
quiet right now.
I'm listening. I'm taking
But
it all
Bob,
in.
do you think a drug company comes in our office and
No,
you had
I
to
don't.
prescribe?
I don't
No,
think that.
we screwed up big time. Pain is the 5th vital sign. That was by lawyers and physician and advocacy groups. Pain is the 5th vital sign. That had nothing to do with the drug companies.
But
I'm
hold
not
on, I
saying
have
the
a
drug
question.
companies weren't
If
duplicitous.
you're in
They
pain,
were.
or you're depressed, or you're
Yeah.
having anxiety, and someone, a doctor or
Yeah.
a drug company, saying this is going to help you,
Yeah.
and you're desperate, you're going to listen to them.
See, there's the public. So
I mean-
that's what
think
happened
that's
in
true.
his hometown. There were people that never would have been exposed to opiates.
Oh, for sure.
Never would have.
Oh, for sure.
And now they're perceived as mentally ill and running around, and their lives
Well,
are
this is-
destroyed
let me-
by this
Let me tell you-
But at
coalition.
some point, we as humans have to step in and say, "Hey, I can't do this. I have to stop, or it's a problem, or I'm an addict, or."
Well, that's the
but-
part we're trying to get
somebody
focused
just
on.
mentioned NET therapy. Thoughts? It ties in with this.
I don't know what NAT is.
NET.
NET.
NAD?
NET.
They tell them to explain. what
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
is.
explain what that is.
But listen. So I was in a situation in a town nearby here where this guy was coming by. He was in a halfway house. He was an addict with chronic schizophrenia. He was coming by and violently attacking people that worked in the facility. And he had just come out of a 24-hour stay in a hospital. He didn't want to take his meds, and he
has
went
the right
became
to.
violent.
I know,
again.
that's
So we had to call the cops. One of the guys in uniform is an ER doctor, and I go, look, you have to go to those doctors and tell them they can't mill him through. He's not happier because of this. They're just milling him through and doing what the law requires them to do
Right.
because there's no resources to treat that guy. You must. You tell them a doctor's evaluated this, and I will hold them accountable if this guy hurts somebody. Put him on a long-acting, give him a shot. I know it's expensive. God damn it, put him on it. And that was
But
that.
then what?
And because then I called I said I will hold those doctors responsible. Well, magically they did, because if
Yeah.
you hold them to the liability, now we can do it. So it's the system is all screwed up. It's just and that's nothing to do with addiction.
Well,
That's
hold on.
just being able to give people what they need without, you can't do that, or we can't keep them, or all this, the bureaucracy and the laws screw up the care.
Well, the police officer that has the question is saying, I suspect. Do you really think that in a 1 mile square area there's 3 schizophrenic people in a small?
No, it's all addiction.
It's all addiction.
Yeah, it's all addiction.
That's, I was
it's
just
drug
going to say,
addiction.
do you visit Skid Row?
Oh yeah.
So I
it's
do.
a mess.
Yeah, I physically turn into. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. And I was just there.
You should do some stuff on Housewives about it because that would raise awareness and maybe we do something.
I was
about
just
it.
I was
Julian
there for
Street.
Easter and I usually do it and I'd go down and we'd cut hair and we'd bring everything and I wanted to sit and have conversations. I actually made a friend Cowboy who was a vet and he was the only sober one. He's like, they're crazy. I mean, but I would talk to women. She'd have a knife in her bag and for some reason we're talking, but she brought up the Kardashians. I'm like, hold on. Where'd you sleep last night? She's like, in that guy's tent over there, and I just kind of got in, and I just let him do whatever he wanted so I could sleep somewhere. I'm like, whoa. And then she starts talking about the Kardashians. I'm like thinking, this is so
There you go.
insane.
There you go.
I know.
Insane.
It's insane. New myth.
Oh
new
my
myth.
God.
But it's funny. I was talking to a guy on the radio. I do a daily radio program, and this guy calls in. He goes, "Hey man, I was on the street. I was home. Now I drive a truck." And he goes, "I know exactly what homeless people need." I go, "Really? Tell me." He goes, "Well, you need a place where there's a bed and they feed them, and this place should be populated by doctors and nurses and social workers and vocational rehab
Psych
specialists."
hospital?
It's a psychiatrist. I said, "Yeah, that's what they need. They need lots of hospital care. We need to force appropriate care on people that don't understand." The condition there.
But I think that the public is
LA Mission helps a
confused.
lot.
The public is confused about the people on the street that the policeman's talking about. He's seeing it as half addiction, half mental health, or how do you tell that it's mental health, or what is addiction?
You don't
But
tell
there-
you don't call it mental health till they've been sober 6 months.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
Do you want to read that other question?
The other email question. Which one is that? There's several here.
There
now.
was
hope that
whatever
policeman
the
comes
do
to
But
the,
what
the
leads
big
into
one,
the
what?
third
The
one that I
mental
sent
health
you.
turns to drugs,
Or
or
whatever's at the
drugs
top.
turns
because
into
we got to
mental
know
health.
where it came
No,
from.
I get
where
it, but
came from was the movie that your dad probably was around, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
Yeah, I remember.
with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Screwed
that
everything up.
Michael Douglas produced it before he was an actor.
It's true.
And it portrayed psychiatric hospitals as hells on earth. They
Yeah,
were
I
not.
remember.
They
Scary,
were not.
scary,
They were
scary.
not.
They were not. And the public, and I hate to say it, the more conservative people who want to save a little bit of money, right, saw this opportunity where the public outcry against these psychiatric hospitals caused by One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They just said, okay, let's just let them all out and
Well,
run
no,
free.
there were two things.
And that created the homeless population in Los Angeles.
That's true. But Bob, there were two. It was a coalition of people wanting to save money on the right, and people saying you have no right to hold these people on the left.
they should be free.
These are why this is cruel.
And this is what's happening now, though.
That's those people downtown that your friend said are those. They're crazy.
Yeah.
So then, and let's say
So-
the pain scale. If you had to say one thing caused the opiate epidemic in America, it's the pain scale.
But the pain scale was a response to legal and professional and patient advocacy groups that got together and said doctors must assess pain as the fifth vital sign. That's how important it is. It's as important as their blood pressure
and
their
who
pulse.
profited
And if you,
from that law?
the pain management doctors who went nuts on it.
Big
when
Pharma
you're-
sold $30 billion
No,
worth of Oxycontin.
No, I understand they were duplicitous. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But absolutely. But it was perpetrated by my profession.
So you
Carried
don't
out
think
by my
there's a
profession.
conspiracy? It just was right
How?
place, right time.
What would the conspiracy be? Doctors have no relationship with drug companies. You don't get anything for. You can't even have them in your office.
In the 90s, they did.
They would get courted by them a little bit, but that was already being cracked down by them. But you don't get anything for prescribing. All you get is the visit. You get the patient visit, and what they would do is make the patient visit essentially a Starbucks visit. They let the patient come in, see a nurse, like a marijuana dispensary, and tell them what they want. It was the same thing, and they would not even see a doctor. Doctor would just co-sign it, so they could see 1,000 patients a day who come in and just walk out with bags.
Then they get paid on, I give
For a
them what
visit.
they want.
They get paid for a
which
visit.
is not cheap.
We got to figure out how to have a business like that, where we make all the
Yeah,
money and they do all the dirty work.
Is her people saying anything?
They said, ask Eden about her Twitter crystal challenge.
Your Twitter?
They love my crystals and my hugs, and I'm that sober woman.
Have
to
you ever
everybody.
met the hugging nun?
To Alma?
Yeah.
She's not a nun, though.
What is she?
She's Alma. She's a spiritual being.
Have you heard about this,
I waited
Drew?
in
Wonderful.
line till 1 a.m. and then I had to go. But it was an incredible experience, and I think that our hug
Supposedly-
would.
being hugged by this woman changes
you. Oh, for sure. No.
We got to go. I believe
you
that
have
can
to
You
stay
happen.
up all
gotta wait
night.
like, you gotta wait
I'll
like
hug you.
2 days to be hugged by
Yeah,
her.
but
But
they
that's a
have
wonderful
incredible
thing.
There for
dancing and
20
singing,
hours
hugging
hugging
people.
people.
I'm going to turn into Alma.
There
Good.
you go.
Do
Yeah.
it. We all should turn
Just,
to Alma's.
I agree.
Alma's the myth.
And then people talk about, please explain. No, she's incredible. How is it that you're so uncomfortable holding on to someone, whether you know them or not? First of all, we're all spiritual beings. We're energy, and we're stuck in this body as we know it. So your mind tells you, oh, this isn't right. I'm uncomfortable. I can't hug this person. Why? There's no difference between you and I. And right now, when you tell someone you love them, is it because you love their being or their spiritual essence of, it doesn't matter that I met you 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I can love you who you are for as long as I've known you because I feel that connection, or I'm attracted to your mind, or whatever it may be. But no, society says, you don't know that guy. You can't love him. Bullshit. I love him.
Default
Hey,
setting.
wait, really quick. The
NET?
Kenny wanted us to talk about NET.
Yeah.
It's a mind-body technique that uses methodology of finding and removing neurological imbalances related to the physiology of unresolved, and then it goes
trauma. So
is that what
there's
I
Simone
love that.
kind of into?
No, there's a lot of stuff like that out
Yeah.
there. He should know a lot of stuff. And the guy named Bessel van der Kolk is sort of the leading mind trying to figure out what kind of, and Alan Shore trying to figure out what kind of bodily
Alan
based
Shore has
treatments.
been around a long time.
Can I tell you what I experience? And this has something to so I see an acupuncturist, and he'll go in and he'll release my energy, and then he's like the day before Thanksgiving, he's like, oh shit, Eden. He's like, really, you want to do this before Thanksgiving? I'm like, Afshin, what's going on? He goes, okay, I'll get in there. So he'll release me through acupuncture, and then he'll find where I'm holding it, and then he'll verbally talk about what it is, and we'll release it, and whether I'm screaming or, I mean, a lot of people, even Tony Robbins, you use your energy to release the physical pain or sensation because your mind holds on to it. And so we just work through that, and all of a sudden it's gone. It's shifted. It's
regulated.
Gone.
I would call it regulated.
Well, it's for me. It's gone. I mean, the more you do it, the longer just like anything, you work your muscle, you work your mind, you work your bicep.
I think people need to figure out more of these bodily based things that work for them.
Just sitting.
Have you been with a shaman ever? Incredible. They use music and sound and drum work and beats to tap into what your body's holding onto. So you release it. She'll come up here, and all of a sudden my brain's going like this, and I'm tapping into something physically with my body. And she's like, what's going on? And at this time, I felt my ovaries. And she's like, what is it? What is it? And when I was a kid, I had 2 abortions. And it was coming out through her shaman work, tapping into it. And she gave me the permission. It's okay. These had to pass through you we worked through, maybe I was holding it in my body, obviously. Who goes through a surgery, 2 surgeries like that, mind-body connection, and just, oh, it's okay, and never even talks about it.
How many people just sit still? That's the other thing
Thank
that my dad used to do. He'd get up
My
very
dad,
early in
too.
the morning. He'd just sit in this kitchenette area and just sit
though.
there.
He was depressed.
Well, I mean, but he was centered.
All right, let's
Okay,
get
wait,
this.
no. We're going to save that
That's
for the next
funny.
show because we're running out of time.
He was kind of depressed. He ended up killing himself. So,
So the only
Your dad did?
yeah, well, he stopped taking his blood thinning medicine on purpose.
Oh wow.
So we have
You
to.
guys meant-
We had somebody ask how much that costs, the acupuncture.
It's
And
not
the,
that much. Health
No,
and
my
wellness
guys,
is not nearly
it's
as
not.
much
You just
as
have to
real medicine.
find the right people and search out what it is you're
it's like
feeling.
getting a massage. It's like
Oh,
what,
I live for my massage.
$100 or
Live.
something, or
$200.
He'll do me for 2
you know that,
hours for
Drew?
$120.
I said, but for most people, that's
I mean, that's still a lot of money.
That's a
It
lot
is,
of
but
money.
you can find. But I would find the right people. You want to be careful.
Right.
Hey, you know what, Drew? When they're standing in line at Walgreens
I mean-
getting all their drugs and it's $280,
You're
they
right.
don't have a problem paying that.
Or you're going to
and they're
Starbucks and
sicker
drinking-
and sicker and sicker.
Yep.
I understand, but when I say $99 for heal, people go, the average person can't come up with that, and yet they can for lots of other things.
they can
So-
go to the ER.
Don't get my Republican
Or what
bones
about-
started.
does anyone talk
they
about
can afford
food?
cable TV and cell phones.
What about food and what we put in our body?
Too much
We-
for struggling addicts, somebody said.
Too
Well-
much
Too
for
much.
struggling.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard.
If you
Because
eat
drugs are-
clean and what you put in, you really will give back. And
Yes.
it's who
I mean,
we are.
There's all kinds of nonprofits that do sweat lodges and all kinds of
I
stuff.
live to sweat. Go to Bikram Yoga. Buy a membership. Sweat it out.
$40 a month.
Incredible.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up the Facebook.
Okay.
And
Thank you all for watching the Facebook
Throw
Live. Appreciate
kisses.
it.
Everybody
Thank
loves
you.
you
you.
See ya.
And somebody
Bye,
said
bye.
that Bob and Drew are geniuses.
Yeah, they
Oh,
are.
my
So
God.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, we got a good. Yeah.
Well, check out This Life, everybody. That we do it every week. It goes up, Mondays? It goes up Mondays. Go to drdrew.com. Check out our family podcast there. This Life, Bob and I do this every week.
Tell
we have
everyone
great
over there
guests.
to do it.
Yeah, we have great guests, and it really is a really good podcast. And we gravitate towards recovery because it's me and Bob, but we really want to talk about everything in this life. And Eden's been a nice way to sort of expand what
Catching
we
up
talk
with
about
these
it.
genius minds.
What creates?
Yeah, you guys are a great team.
I want to come back one day and just sit and listen.
No problem. You can also
I'm good at
download
that,
the
right?
podcast.
Your two new best friends.
All right. Well, signing off. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
So
I want to ask one last question.
Yeah.
So you, EDEN was your name that your parents gave you,
Is
right?
my name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Do you feel like that's a burden
So my
when you
therapist
give a
said to me
hippie
as a-
kid a name? I think it's a burden.
Do you think
Lots
I'm
of
a
my
hippie?
friends changed their name because
No,
they
hell
didn't want
no.
to have the name.
I think that my name is a responsibility. They gave me Eden, so at some point, my therapist said, "Do you ever think about your name and what it means?" I'm like, "Oh my God, you're absolutely right." And so through the years, if I don't live up to my name, then I'm just an idiot. So I take it on as a responsibility.
that's shame.
Did you
That's
have-
shame motivation.
I love it. I love it. Please give me that name and let me live up to it. Thank you, Dad.
Right,
Thank
there's
you.
shame and then there's toxic shame, right? So she has okay
She
shame.
has Eden shame.
But
But I also think being my father's daughter, that's a legacy. If I don't live up to that and I don't give back and I don't lead by example, then I, again, am an idiot.
you bring up an interesting point, though, just something to make a note of. Did you have a punk rock phase?
No, not
Okay.
really.
She had extreme personal responsibility, I can see.
I understand, but
Yes.
her parents were not hippies because
No.
all the kids.
I'm more of a hippie than they
Right,
ever
so
were.
all the
What
kids.
were they? What was your mom like?
My mom's great. She was a actress, model, and then she met my dad. She was in Burbank, and then she turned into, oh my God, I'm Vidal Sassoon's wife. And then they were always ahead of their time in health and beauty. They were very much health and beauty until she got into
That's
alcohol.
hippie stuff.
No, it's business. It's business. and
Oh,
health and beauty.
business stuff
But-
disguised as hippie
But
stuff.
it wasn't just business. They lived. They
Believed
lived.
it. I know.
Oh
I get
yeah,
it.
they
I get it.
did
But
it.
the kids of hippie parents became the hardcore punk rockers
Yeah,
in
no.
the 80s
Yeah.
and 90s.
We weren't hippies.
Yeah, that's how you can tell if the parents are hippies. The
I
parents,
believe
the
in
kids
free love.
rejected that completely and became punkers.
Yeah, there was
No punk.
You know how many Los Angeles girls are named Rain?
Yeah. But do you think
Sunshine.
Eden is hippie?
Sunshine.
Do you think
I
Eden
don't.
is?
I
No,
don't.
it's
No.
more of like
I
the
kind of lumped it in with hippies.
powerful God, and that's because I'm in my overalls and
Well,
my
maybe
long
it's
hair, and my
because
beads.
when I was a kid,
I wanna be a
my
hippie.
dad got very disgruntled. The next 2 doors down from our vacation house in Palm Springs, Adam and Eve rented the house on our,
That freaked him out.
and they'd walk around naked.
Oh my god.
My
And it was
dad
like
walked around naked
71.
every Sunday.
See, he was a hippie.
No, he was a nudist. He was a total nudist. He didn't give a shit about anybody being. Yeah,
Drew's fading more towards hippie.
he never
now.
did drugs.
No,
He never
because
did-
the 70s had all these MFers that were self-actualized and were
Nude.
casting off.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, they were not hippies. They were
No,
not hippies.
in the 70s, he was, and even in the 60s, he was the head of the empire. He was an artist. He was creative.
Yeah, they're casting.
Walking
All right, we got to go.
around
We got to wrap
naked.
it
Gotta
up. We got to wrap it up. Eden, website?
Amazing. My website? No, you might go to my Instagram. It's the most fun. It's Eden Sassoon.
Got it.
Yeah.
Do that. Go to her salon. Go to her
Pilates Studios.
Pilates
Get in
Studios,
there. Let me kick your ass.
And we'll see you next time.
Lost in a tropic wave, seized with every motion as you slowly lose your clothes. Wanting you every way, perfection in a blanket, beaches of Mexico. What can I do for you? Erase all of your burdens so we never have to go. The sea, a seductive blue. Only she can reach us on the beaches of Mexico. Oh, you give in to me, I give in to you. Here, so near and free, just gazing